Welcome. It's Sunday. That means this is Ibrox. I'm your host for this evening, Tommy McIntyre, and I am joined fresh from the sunshine, trying to forget, I'm imagining, what happened yesterday. It is Kyran. Hi, Kyran.
How are we, mate? Yeah, fresh from the sunshine, I still look transparent, so I don't know if we're trying to kid anyone on. So, for anyone listening on podcast and audio only, I'm looking brown, but for anyone watching this side of things, I've not quite got a tan, so I'm not as
You're
bronze as
quite,
it
you are quite pale looking. You're like a ghost haunting the podcast at this point in time. So, having gotten the ghost out of the way, I'll turn to my other other colleague here, is JB. How you doing?
Yeah, very well. As we seem to see quite a lot, Rangers aside, I'm doing okay. But yeah, it's another tough one to take. But let's use this therapy, the Sunday therapy session, to get us through.
This is
Certainly
therapy.
turn into that. This is therapy. Yeah, I like that. Kieran, you're back in the good books with that one. So ultimately, we need to update the Rangers badge to say you need therapy as well. So listen, I want to get into it, and for the listeners and the watchers as well, you might have been eagle-eyed and spotted that we updated the thumbnails and stuff like that as well for this particular pod. We can go through all the players, and we will definitely talk about what happened yesterday. But I do want to start with Jack Butland. And Kieran, I'm going to turn to you first here. Such a big drop-off in expectation and form, and doesn't seem to be able to pull that form back. Tell me what you believe needs to happen to Jack Butland, and does he still have a jersey place at Rangers next season?
We covered this in a way last week on last Sunday's pod. I was very much on the fence about it, and I think the angle I took it on was, if you're trying to replace Jack Butland, then keepers come at a premium. Is that really where we want to be going to spend money? Now, a week on, I'm looking at it completely different. Yesterday, again, was a mistake too far. It's mistakes that are consistent and they're extremely costly. Yesterday, that's bread and butter stuff for a goalkeeper, and it's something that we're just seeing far too often now. We thought after the win at Parkhead and then the going through against Fenerbahce, the penalty shootout almost against Fenerbahce where he was a hero, that he would have turned a corner. You're looking at it saying, right, that's a confidence thing. Turned a wee corner here, he's going to be fine for the rest of the season. Turns out it's not a confidence thing, it's not an ability thing, but more of a concentration issue where he's been caught again not concentrating, just completely under his body, and it's not good enough. And if you're Niels Coppen and you're the Rangers scouting network at the moment, you should be looking for another goalkeeper. And we talk about value. I don't know what free agent goalkeepers are out there, but they could earn a good wage here if we can get rid of Butland. I mean, I think from what we spoke about last week, what would represent value for selling Jack Butland, I think that's dramatically lower in the space of a week now. Now, this could all change come Friday, given that the Europa League is a shop window and things are amplified when it comes to prices and performances. So, in terms of Butland and in terms of the weekend as a whole, I think it's drawn a line under a lot of things for most of the fans and what we want to see next season.
I've popped a comment there from Tommy's Cardigan. A handy hint for the people watching, by the way. If you want your comments to get on screen, generally use my name, either in your name or in your comment. That will definitely catch my eye. I'm not narcissistic, but I'm interested from your perspective. You know, all players are to a large extent, confidence players. You're Liam Kelly. You're sitting there. Domestic season's gone. There's Europe. Are you expecting to get a run here and to see Jack Butland dropped?
I would say so, yeah. Obviously, goalkeepers, as we know, on the pitch and off it appears are always protected in terms of, because it's such a specialist position, and you hear people say the lines about, oh, we have to be mad to be a goalkeeper and all these kind of phrases. But yeah, I think he must be sitting there going, what do I need to do? Because, I mean, fair play to Kelly. You see him when Butland's had a shocker. It seems Kelly's always in shot as if he's there. And I imagine the goalkeeping union, there's a real tight unit. You see that. It's one of my pet hates, actually, on the Rangers training videos pre-match. They spend about 6 minutes watching the goalkeepers do keep-ups. Like, yeah, we know they can do keep-ups and move on. Show me someone score in the back of the net. But yeah, I think he's when he first signed, it was actually one that I thought, oh, this is going to be super interesting because I've got a lot of friends down in Stoke. I used to be part of the Stoke Rangers supporters club, and first thing I said, "What's he like?" And he said, "When he's good, he's very good, world class. However, if he makes one or two mistakes, he's gone, and there's no coming back for a long time." And you kind of see that because you think about his first, whatever it was, 6, 9 months, you could probably name on a couple of fingers how many mistakes he made. His kicking was really good with both feet, his distribution, he come for crosses, set pieces. So much so we were kind of going, he's got everything McGregor's got and a little bit more. We were naively saying at the time because we were craving someone that could kick, we were craving someone that could come for crosses, and he was doing it, bang. Then all of a sudden, spooked. And slowly but surely, over the tail end of last season, you think about the Scottish Cup final, then going into this season, just hasn't really got going. And yeah, he's just a shadow. And to Kieran's point, does he fall under the Cantwell Lammers category of just get him off the wage bill? Because that's kind of how far it's gone now, unfortunately. And if somebody had said to that in 6, 9 months ago,
Are you saying that he's fallen as far down in your estimation? Interested, Kieran, for you to come back on this one, and for people in the comments. But JB, are you saying that that's the view you now get of Jack Butland, that he's in that Cantwell kind of?
I'm in the view, if somebody bids for him more, $1 million or $2 million, I'm taking it. Just
Really,
because,
that little?
that little, because I'm not. Imagine if you're an opposition fan and you're going on YouTube to look at your brand new goalkeeper, and you type in Jack Butland. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I haven't seen anyone put a compilation together. But I tell you what, you could be making quite a decent compilation video of the mistakes he's had this season alone. Again, the big thing for me that's dropped off a cliff, the odd mistake where maybe you throw one in the back of the net or you make one loose. But the thing is, though, he's not punching nothing. He's trying to catch, and it almost looks as if he's thinking 2 steps ahead. Whereas just deal with it, because that's what I used to like about him. He used to keep things really simple: come, catch, clean, done, catch, move on, bang. But now he just seems every shot. I can't believe they didn't have more shots on target yesterday. There was 3 or 4 occasions at the end of that first half where I'm thinking, if they shoot, there's a very good chance they're going to score. And if you've got that behind you, and then we're going to get to what's in front, as in the Nigerian nightmare, then you must be sitting there as a midfield and defence going, what are we working with here, lads? You know what I mean? But he's any money that kind of comes in for Butland, I think we can't keep playing this game of, we know there's a player in there and we'll get the purple patches out of him, as the cardigan called out earlier. I'm just calling him the cardigan, that's his new name.
Don't forget the first part, to be honest with you. I like that, the cardigan.
Yeah, everyone's getting it, but yeah, I think that's where I'm at, and I probably wasn't there 2-3 weeks ago. Part of me at the back of my head thinks I'm also playing devil's advocate in the fact that when he's good, he is very good. Do we need to ride it through to the start of the season and go, bang, there's your clean slate? But if I'm Liam Kelly, if I'm Ferguson, I'm playing Liam Kelly till the end of the season, certainly domestically. Maybe not on Thursday, because I think there's going to be enough going on Thursday. I think the emotional roller coaster will probably get us through. But domestically, Liam Kelly for the rest of the season.
Can I jump in on that point, actually? And can I throw this back at you a wee bit? Has Liam Kelly done enough in his opportunities at Rangers to hold down that spot over Butland? Or is it because Butland's just not been good enough? Because for me, like, Liam Kelly done well at Ibrox in the Old Firm game, and after that, he as well looked very, very suspect. So I just don't... I don't think... I don't know enough about Mason Munn and the backup goalkeepers, but I just don't think we've got enough quality in that goalkeeper room.
I think that's a fair point, and I'm keen to come off the goalkeepers now, but I definitely think that there's a requirement to refresh there, and I think most people would agree with you both in terms of that. So Kieran, I'll come back to you there, and we're focused in on Jack Butland. I think JB had also touched on Cyril Dessers at the top end of the pitch. We'll get through them all, right? But I want to just start by looking at this in terms of that's been a succession of managers now dealing with the majority of these players. What inherently do you think is wrong with the culture in the dressing room where domestically these performances come along with a regularity that I cannot remember for a Rangers side, even in the modern era, where they just go missing? What's at the heart of that for you?
I think that's $1 million question. Do you know that? I think if I knew the answer to it, then we'd find a solution and we'd be able to move forward. But it's definitely a mentality thing. I know people say a shower of losers, but we've seen a rebuild that last summer there, and it's a lot of different players now, and it seems to be the same product that we're seeing that's coming out the other end. I really don't know. I really don't know where the mentality shift comes from. I'm going to say that it's something that we didn't see under Gerrard, where players threw the towel in. If we were beat, we weren't beat bad. A lot of the time it was just down to poor performance, and it wasn't down to guys chucking the towel in and throwing the hands up in there. Yesterday, in a nutshell, I'm going to put this one down, the majority of it, to Ferguson. I think Ferguson's had a terrible day yesterday, without diving too far into it. But sticking with your question, Tommy, I don't know. I really don't know. When I look at the squad and I look at the type of players that we're signing, we don't really have a strategy to what we're signing or who we're signing. You look at, let's take Hibs, for example.
Well, hold on there, Kieran. I want to come in on that, right? Just
Okay.
on that. And I think it's a really good point, and I want to hear it. But if I just go back for a second and say, forget the signing policy for a moment. I just want to focus in on these players, because I don't think, or are you saying that we've been signing players that don't have the heart, the ability and the mentality to play for a Rangers side?
There's probably an argument for that, yeah. I think there definitely is an argument for it. Now, if you've got Barry Ferguson at the helm, I think if you gave 100 Rangers fans the choice of someone that can go in and instill a mentality into that dressing room, that knows what it's all about to play for Rangers and lead Rangers and be a successful Rangers team, then I think the vast majority would pick Barry Ferguson. Now, in terms of the players that are there, if they can't get themselves up for a game and they can't get themselves up for winning games, because let's look at it as well, right over this piece, and it's an absolute embarrassment and it embodies everything that this team has been about. Celtic have won a league playing for one half of the season, and the reason I say that, the facts to back it up, is we're 13 points behind. They have dropped 14 points since the turn of the year, and we are still 13 points behind. That is an incredible indictment of where we are as a team, where we are as a club, and those in the background at Rangers, the board, from before a ball was kicked this season, the Champions League qualifiers have been an absolute embarrassment to the club, and they've dragged us all the way back down, that we're having to rebuild this team again in the summer, and it's the whole season was wrote off before we had even tried to mount a title challenge, and we knew it would be bad. We didn't know it would be this bad. The fact that we've lost this weekend and they've lost, I can't remember the last time that happened. Both teams losing the same weekend. We've not gained any ground on them. Imagine we had put that back to 10 points this weekend. They've still to come to Ibrox. You never know. It gives that team a bit of hope and a bit to look to next season, a bit of confidence. But no, it's not worked out that way, and it's tough. It's tough. Yeah. We're at this point again this season. You can probably go back to these pods a year ago where I'm saying, yeah, I'm looking forward to next season.
We're saving up the clip show at the end of the season, right? All the optimism that we had, and then it slowly dropped off a cliff.
As we say it so often, following Rangers these past few years has been like a social experiment, just to see how much you can take.
Exactly.
I'm glad we get to come on here and vent, and yeah, that's why we started the show with this as therapy.
That's it. We're happy to provide a service. There you go. JB, coming to you, and I think Kyran raised a lot of good points there. Basic question: have we got a team full of empty jerseys?
No, I think we've got a team of players who decide if it's going to be an empty jersey or not. I think yeah, which I think is petrifying. because you see the level of performance that these guys have put in throughout the season. And I'm not talking about teams formation that we're playing against. Like there's the phrase there about the low block. There are certain players that do struggle against certain formations. Diamandi, I think, is the prime example as to everything that's wrong with this Rangers team in terms of in Europe and against them. He's fantastic. You could argue he's probably been our player of the season in European performances and against them because he's so clever and he finds space. Well, he finds space, but there's a lot of space to find in these games, and his ability to turn and everything else. However, 4 or 5, 6, 7 times yesterday, he was just he had 3 men round him, and he was still trying to do. He was brave. He was still showing. He was still offering, but he was just running into space, and he hasn't got the physical power to battle through players. He hasn't got that much pace to kind of get away from people, and he's a fine example of a player who could potentially leave us in the summer and go on to have a fantastic career. And you'll go, why did you let him go? And it was because of the fact he can't play in domestic games. I could name on one hand where you'd say Diamandi. Well, in fact, can anybody tell me a game domestic where you say Diamandi's been the best player on the pitch since he signed?
I'm going to pass that one on to the listeners and the watchers.
Yeah, it's just someone can point a game out. There was, I can think of St Johnstone away where he come in early doors and followed it up with a really good performance at home the following week. I think it was against Hibs or Hearts. Might have been Hearts, I think it was. He scored one with his right foot, one with his left foot. And I thought, who's this fella we've signed here? Looks like we've got a gem. But over time, domestic football just isn't for him, and he's just a perfect example of someone that shows quality when it suits. And he seems to run through brick walls in Europe. Nico Raskin yesterday. I mean, you go through that, as they say. You get the stats going out yesterday for some of the lads like Raskin, who's had a really good season. But yesterday just didn't look arsed. I think he had one 50-50, which I think got checked for a VAR check for a serious foul play, which was ridiculous. But his passing was way off yesterday. And you can literally go through them and you go, he tries harder in certain games, and there's no denying it. It's there for all to see, and you're not going to get away with it in front of 50,000 fans. It would demand a higher expectation, and they've got away with it, I think, a lot of times over the last couple of seasons, because teams have came to Ibrox and gone, oh, we don't want to be on the end of a doing here now. Teams are coming to Ibrox and absolutely loving it, loving playing against us, and I include Queen's Park, Motherwell, St Mirren. The list just goes on, unfortunately, and that's where we're at. As I say, I'm less worried about Bilbao away than I am Aberdeen away next week, and that is ridiculous. That is just, it just doesn't. If Bilbao were playing Aberdeen over 2 legs, you'd be looking at double figures in terms of goals conceded, whereas we could go there and potentially do something, and that is all down to the players in terms of how much effort they're putting in. Albeit, I don't think the manager. I agree with Kyran. I thought the manager had a shocker yesterday. If he's for all the analysis, him and McCann and all these so good guys who've watched every game this season, if they think Diamandi, Barron, and Braskin work in a midfield 3 domestically, then get them all in the bin, because if they think that that's an acceptable lineup to start at home, yes, they're worked out. We had 8 defensive-minded players in our starting 11. 8 against Hibs. What? I was going to swear. What's going on? It's like, could you have threw a Hadji in the midfield 3 yesterday? Could you threw a Barami? Could you threw a Tom Lawrence? Could you have just done something to try and get that extra man in the midfield who might give you numbers? I mean, I'm sure the listeners can probably tell us. Raskin, how many goals has he scored this season? 2, maybe 2 headers from set pieces. Thinking USG and he scored against Celtic, but he scored 2 this season. Barron as none. Diamandi 4, 5, 6 maybe, and that's our midfield 3. It justifies logic, and in terms of assists, them 3 don't create nothing either. So straight away, you rely on your wingers and that's.
No, let me pick that up, JB, because I think it's a really interesting one as well. And I'll flick to Kyran here, because I think it's good to get your views. Now, we know that there's problems at the back. We've spoken about Jack Butland at the start of the pod. We'll get to the top end of the pitch eventually. I'm just taking my time, right? But midfield, Kyran, JB touches there on Barron, Raskin, Diomande, the individual players round about it. You've got your Lawrences, your Hadjis, etc. Is the midfield for you an area that needs completely ripped up in the summer? Or is that an area where you go, no, I can see it with Dio, I can see it with Raskin, Barron maybe not, Hadji, Lawrence, etc. Tell me where your thoughts are.
No, I wouldn't rip it up. I like Raskin. Contrary to what JB said, I am a fan of Diomande. I think he could be unlocked a wee bit better under a better manager. Excuse me, guys. I can see the potential there. Barron, I think my stance on it hasn't changed. He's a horses for courses type of player. Away in Europe, Parkhead, at home against Celtic, games where you need workers in there that are going to break up the play and just give it to the guys that can play. That's Barron's job. You don't need two sitters at home against a Hibs team, and that's what we were seeing yesterday with Raskin and Barron. It did not work whatsoever, and I feel like maybe that's had an effect on Diomande there. So no, I wouldn't wrap it up, but I would invest in it. I think, given that there's other areas of the pitch that we are going to need to strengthen, I think one of the main sort of signings has got to be looked at is proper investment on a number 6. I mean, how long have we cried out for a proper number 6? And it's got to be a big physical number 6 that's technically good at football. Because at the moment, we're a pushover. We're not a physical team whatsoever. We're not a team that's equipped domestically for Scottish football, where we seem to get bullied every game. I mean, JB touched on Raskin's tackle yesterday. I think that's the first 50-50 we've seen at Ibrox this season. Nobody wants to put it about and show that we're a big club and they play for a big club. Now, when we talk about mentality and what it takes to play for Rangers, there's far too many players will come here and put yourself in the players' shoes here for a wee bit and think, right, there's expectations on me to win every single game here, and it's getting too much, especially at home. We've lost 5 in a row at home now, and the pressure when you play at Ibrox is a different level of pressure because you're expected to win. It doesn't matter if it's Barcelona or Brecon we're playing against, you're expected to win. Now, you look at players like, I'll just take 2 for example here that I felt completely failed and could have done better at Ibrox. Josh Windass, Todd Cantwell. They're in the English Championship now, probably on the same type of money, mid-table clubs that aren't really expected to win every week, taking it easy, and that's their career. Now, a lot of people are happy to change up and do stuff like that. So, in terms of us, we've got to be signing players that are happy to come here, that know what it's all about before they've signed on the dotted line. And I know there's arguments against signing Rangers men and knowing what it's all about, but if we're to spend proper money on a centre mid that's going to come here, they've got to understand the pressure that they're going to be playing under before they've even kicked a ball or signed along that dotted line, because it does take a lot to play in front of a crowd of 50-odd thousand that are going to go on your case for every slack pass, and that's just what it is at Rangers. You're not going to change the fans' expectations, and I'll tell you something, the expectations next year are going to be higher than they have been for a long, long time, given the consortium that's coming in and putting money into the club. This year we were talking about 0 expectations because of how things kicked off before the season even started, and this is how we are speaking and how fans are reacting. Think of what it's going to be like next year when we know that we've got money behind us and we've got a proper consortium that we believe will take the club in the right direction. Expectations are going to be sky high, and it's going to ramp things up even higher with the fans, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I'll take those expectations, right? JB, I'm turning to you. We finally get to CDO Dessers, right? Who, I'm going to caveat it all. He's got good numbers. He hits the back of the net. Yada, yada, yada. Cyril Dessers, solve that equation for me, because it keeps people up at night. And there's another good example of it yesterday.
Yeah, I think Cyril Dessers does what a average player who can play number 9 would do in a Rangers shirt. I just think the fact he's available so often is because he's in the team and why he's in positions to score goals. because we could have been out of sight by half time yesterday, and we're all sitting here yesterday, high-fiving each other, going, looking forward to Thursday. Do you know what I mean? He had 3 really, really good chances in the first half yesterday. And again, we could go through everyone, certainly not singling him out for performance, but in terms of what we need from a striker, is we need someone that maybe a 1 in 3, 1 in 2, whatever it maybe needs to be. But we need someone that is, we know that if we create chances, there's a good chance he'll score. However, we're in the realms now of, we know that we need to create 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chances before this guy will score. And that must be heartbreaking as a player that playing behind him, because there was a few yesterday. I sit up in the governing area, and you kind of look at. I was looking at players' reactions a couple of times when he missed. I think Sports Team picked up on Suter when Dessers put one over the bar, and you just seen Suter just kind of look to the sky as if to say, "What chance have we got?" Do you know what I mean? But I think, I think he's doing himself more damage than good, I think, at the moment, in terms of his performance. I think that spell out the team, I think, done him wonders a few months back, and came back in. You see he had that sharpness and that little bit of determination. But no, I think it's definitely time for rotation. But on the flip side, he's available to play, as is Egerman, which I'm not sure if we've got a section to talk about him, but what's he thinking? He's thinking, every time you've played me up front, whether it be in Europe at Nice away, whether it was Hibs away, I think Kilmarnock at home earlier in the season, every time you play me up front to score goals, you bring me on for 15 minutes against Celtic, I scored a goal because I'm the highest man. Where's the logic? Where's the management team? And I include Ferguson, Clement. What are these guys thinking to go, we're not going to build everything around this lad? Because yesterday he was getting so frustrated because he beat the first couple of men, but he was running into men, whereas that should have been him one-on-one with the last centre half and getting his shot away. He just, I think, again, just because obviously you've asked the question about Dessers, he's that position for Rangers is integral for what we want to do. Because again, we'll use the point, if we want to stay a little bit positive. There's good players in the team. They've proved it. What we think they haven't proved is they're not good under pressure. And we've got a guy up front, unfortunately, doesn't take pressure off them. He leaves it to the last minute. If we'd have carried on another 20 minutes, he probably would have nicked one. And then all of a sudden the landscape changes. But
like Dundee.
we can't rely. We can't, like Dundee. We can't rely on him to be. He's not what we need in a nutshell.
And Kyran, is that the summation as JB gives that? So if you're looking at Rangers and you're going up top, Danilo, Egerman, Dessers, one would like to think, feel free to disagree with me, that Egerman is probably the one that you want to try and keep and try and develop him, because there's definitely raw talent in there. Although, we do need to see better numbers. But if I look at the stats from yesterday, for example, right, where we were, 72% possession, absolutely bossing the ball, but that only translated to 3 shots on target. I think 6 off target, but 3 on target, which is roughly the same as Hibs. I think they had 3 on target as well. Is it just a quality thing? Is it just the fact that, and again, JB's right, it's not all about Cyril Dessers. Everybody was an empty jersey by and large yesterday, right? But is it just a case of Rangers have been incredibly unlucky in that the guy up top, and when we're making chances, can't be relied on to finish, and that's it. That's the story of the season.
You can't say he's been incredibly unlucky, but you've got a player like Egerman in your team. You've watched Cyril Dessers against Dundee. How many chances was it? 12. He scored with his 9th chance. Again, back to JB's point, he scores his chances in the first half or scores 2 of them. It's a whole different game. You look back to the games where he's played up front this season. Okay, Fenerbahce's the outlier. Olympiacos away, missed chances. We drew that game. Tottenham at home, chance in the last minute, misses it. Could have won that game. Comes on, does all right, snatches the draw. Man United didn't really do much else apart from that. I'll make this, and I think this is about the last time I really want to talk about whether Cyril Dessers is a man for Rangers or not. I think anybody that fancies him to stay at Rangers next year really needs to look at who they support. He's just not good enough for us. I get the goal scorers, the goals he scored, I get the whole 45 and 100 games side of things, but let's look at the bigger picture here. That period JB spoke about, that he was out of our team, we played our best football, Egeman up front, and turned games where Danilo was in behind him. We were scoring for fun. Now, Egeman's getting a lot of negativity and the comments about how he's greedy, how he's been off the boil, how he's only scored the one at Parkhead in about 15 games or something, I think it is. How many of the games has Egeman started as our number 9? I'd maybe say maybe 1 in 15. Yesterday, how many times did you see our most dangerous player and Egeman go back to the halfway line to collect the ball and then sometimes square it back to a centre-back? Where is that going to get us in terms of, as a team, as a player trading model, when our biggest asset, or what could potentially be our biggest asset, has been played out of position when we really need them the most? And let's be honest here, right? Hibs at Ibrox, when we're 13 points behind in the league's gone, right? It's been gone for a long time. We've known that. Why is Dessler starting up front? Why is it not Egeman? Why aren't we trying to progress this boy as much as we can? And you know something? JB makes a great point talking about Suter looking to the sky. I was looking for reactions as well. Do you know what? See, when you see Dessers go through on goal, I don't even get off my seat. It's ripped the heart out of it. There's no excitement. For the goals he scores, there was days like yesterday where you're going to come up against a bit of quality, and Hibs are a good team. They're the most on-form team in the SPFL just now, where you're not getting away with missed chances. And you've got to look at the mentality of both teams. When players like Suter's looking to the sky and the rest of the team are thinking, we've got no chance here. Anything we create is going to be missed. Might go in. 1 out of 12, it might go in. Hibs, that team line comes out, they see Dessers is playing up front against a back 5, and the guy that battered them for pillar to post at Easter Road earlier in the season has been stuck out on the left. Yeah. And he wasn't even doing his job on the left, because any times you have to get the ball, there was nothing for into the channels for him. It was a shit show altogether. Egeman needs to play up front, no doubt about it. And Dessers, I get that he's available, can't be here next season. We need to get what we can for him, bring in a younger model, develop him too, and Egeman needs to be our number 9 if we want to be successful.
I think that's a good way to wrap up the Cyril Dessers chat. I think that's a very fair point.
For this season, forever, I'm fed up talking about him.
I think it's fair to say that Cyril Dessers is not getting a Christmas card from Ian at any point in time, right?
He's a nice guy. I'll send him a card, but
the worst thing is, Tommy, he seems like such the nicest guy, and like you can't hate him. Do you know what I mean? Cause, you know, we've had players at the club who you go, like, use Cantwell for example, pantomime villain, where you go, oh, soul, you know what I mean? But when you just look at him and you go, I just seen a few pictures on Twitter yesterday, pre and post match, where he was interacting with fans, and you're like, he's just a big stupid smile on his face, and you're like, we want him to do well, as we do with any Rangers player, and we love a romantic story of that. Oh, he turned it round. But with Kyran, if he scores, you're surprised. It's shock, and you go, oh, he scored. You know, like, and yeah, it's unsustainable.
With all due respect, JB and Tommy, you guys are lovely guys, but I wouldn't have you starting up front for Rangers.
I think you'll find that. I turn up in the big games, Kyran. That's my thing.
I've seen Milk 10 quicker than me. You don't want to be seeing that show.
Thursday night, Tommy.
You might have a couple of yards on me, to be honest with you. We'll look out for the PII 5-a-sides coming soon. Right, but so okay, I hear you guys. This is the part of therapy where we start to get into, sunlit uplands, and we start to talk about positive stuff, right? So tell me then, JB, I'll stick with you right now. You're looking at the team sheet and you're thinking, how do I change it for Thursday? Right? Because we've touched on all those players, but actually I think some of the inherent problem here is there isn't a lot of depth to our squad, right? And by that I mean quality. We've got numbers, but the quality. So how do you change it? How do you get something better? How do you give the fans something to hold on to and say, if you're Ferguson, I'm willing to rip up the team sheet here and give other people a chance while still giving yourself a crack at the game?
Yeah, to be honest, I think he's had a bit of a stinker in his comments to say that you're going to see mass change on Thursday because we haven't got the players to do it.
Yep.
I actually, as much as we've spoken around Butland earlier, I wouldn't be throwing Kelly in or Munn. Do you know what I mean? Because we know there's a switch, there's a sensible switch. Domestically, fully from now to the end of the season, we need to learn things from now to the end of the season about this group of players. Have they got a future at the club? The best thing that could happen now is somebody telling Ferguson, "You're not getting the job." That if that conversation hasn't been had, that needs to be had because Ferguson might
And
go.
tell me, JB, sorry, just to jump in there, JB, because I'll get it from both you and Kyran at a point in time. But for you, is Ferguson off the list? You're not interested there. It's got to be somebody new that comes in.
Yeah.
And does that include his backroom staff, or is there anybody there that you'd want to keep?
I said no up until yesterday when if he thought that midfield three was going to work and he thought that they thought that playing Dessers yesterday after last week's performance was the right thing to do, that petrifies the life out of me. And the aggression and the caretaker manager card only lasts so long. You've seen it. There's been so many examples throughout history. You look at Di Matteo; it's probably the best caretaker manager to step in and go win a European Cup. Do you know what I mean? So people can step in and have a bounce. And this group of players have shown that they can bounce with the best of them when a new manager comes in. But no, I think he's. I think I can't see it. As much as I like them, I love Neil McCann's press conference on Thursday or Friday, whatever it was. I thought I really enjoyed it. 20 minutes, you can listen to him all day. Gets it, knowledgeable, passionate, brilliant. Ticks the boxes. Probably what I think Clement was needing. If I'm being perfectly honest, if Clement has got the ability to a really good coach and a tactician, then he probably needed somebody more honest. But we won't go back there with that. But baldy Belgian banger anyway. So, in terms of the question, changes for.
JB,
How long have you had that one? How long have you had that one in the chamber?
That's a regular, that one. But
your
no,
accent's in baldy Belgian bangers up there, by the way.
get that one cropped. Get that one on a fridge magnet. But in terms of Thursday, I can't see where he's going to make mass changes. Would I bring Robin Proper and Leon Balogun in? Probably, because I think we're going to need to be as solid as we can be. Egerman leads the line. For me, I just think you go with a real raw performance and see what we get from him. He's definitely coming in high. Is there scope to maybe? I didn't think Czerny. I thought Czerny looked miles off it yesterday. As much as he shows his quality, I don't know. He just didn't look comfortable at all. He wasn't striking the ball well, almost as if he was carrying something. Remind me, my mind's gone blank. Danilo, of course, Danilo's in the European squad.
Yeah.
I'd go with Danilo and Egerman with a flat midfield three and five at the back. That's where I'm kind of going, and just go right. Let's go and dig this out. Let's hope a little bit of Ibrox fairy dust can do the job, and we can go and have a gutsy performance. But we know we've got a couple of lads at the top end who've got that little bit of quality if we need it. Flat midfield three, just absolute dogs, and then go for it. I don't know who the third dog's going to be, mind you, because obviously Diamandi's out, so it's going to be Rask and Barron plus one other. Do you throw Sterling in there and just go absolutely rogue? I'm not too sure, but I think I think Thursday takes care of itself, but I can't see where these mass changes are coming from. I can see where mass changes come from on Sunday, because you can go out and you can go and change the shape. You can go with it. You can go and throw Finlay Curtis on a wing. There's things you can do on next Sunday, but I think Thursday's probably going to come a bit too soon for seeing anything too exciting.
Kyran, you agree with that? I think that's pretty spot on in terms of the match changes on Thursday. But what's your view? What would you expect up?
Say that again. Sorry, you broke up a wee bit there, Tommy.
So what would you expect to see lining up on Thursday then? Or are you the same camp as JB, that there's not an ability to make mass changes and Ferguson's boxed himself in there?
I think he's half boxed himself in and half boxed clever in terms of he's got to make two changes anyway, with Suter and Diamandi coming out the team due to suspension. So I like the idea of the 3-5-2. I'd go more how we set up against Celtic at Parkhead, where it was, Sterling right at the back three with Tav on the right. I don't know what the case with Ridvan is. I don't know if he's injured or not. I know that he was doing the stuff on stage at New Edmonton House yesterday, that he wasn't even in the squad. So
maybe that's what he's good at. Maybe he's a kid's entertainer. He's not a fullback for Rangers.
It's funny you say that. He was wearing a clown suit.
Was that a child's one?
I don't know. It's the better of two evils who plays on the left out of Ridvan and Jefty, because the two of them just look completely out of sorts.
Who do you go for?
Jefty and
who are you
Ridvan.
Who sorry?
Who am I picking?
Who would you go with on Thursday?
I'd go with Jefty. I think this squad completely lacks pace, and I think he gives us that. Big night in Europe. You'd hope he'd show up. I'm right in saying the boy Williams plays off the left as opposed to the right. Am I right in saying that?
I believe so.
Nico Williams.
I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right.
So you're hoping it's going to be a Tav Sterling combo from that side to try and keep him quiet and nullify what we see as their main threat. Fully on board with JB. It's got to be Egerman through the middle, but it wouldn't surprise me to see Dessers again. Ferguson's got this thing where he seems to like him. Again, it's another big game. He's going to let you down. He might run about daft and work for 90 minutes, but I'm sure we could get someone from a running club that could do that for us too, with a better first touch probably. I'd have Egerman through the middle all day. I'd have Czerny playing off him, similar to how we were away to Fenerbahce. And yeah, the back three is going to be interesting, but I think Balogun proper and Sterling might pick itself in that case, or if he wants more balance, you'd be looking at Inciala. In terms of Tom Lawrence, is he injured again? I don't recall seeing him yesterday. I know I was in the Govan front trying to look over to what subs were warming up and stuff. I'm not sure if Lawrence was in the squad yesterday, if he might be carrying something again, but he'd be starting in the middle for me if he's fit. If he's not, again, it's a toss of the coin between Hadji and Barami. Barami was the first sub that came on yesterday, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. Lawrence definitely wasn't in the matchday squad at all.
Yeah, so that's a wee bit of a below given where we are at the moment. But regardless, I think, and I hope I'm wrong here, I really hope I'm wrong. I feel like we've punched above our weight to get where we are at the moment, given the squad that we've got and the ability in there. So anything we get from this game is a bonus. That's the way I'm seeing it.
That's fair. So I'm going to probably start to wrap us up here. I think 45 minutes almost of talking about the depths that Rangers can drive you to at the moment is enough for anybody's Sunday, right? We've certainly put the cloud over the sunshine that was today. But let me come to you both really quickly with two questions, right? So, Kyran, I'm going to start with you. Result on Thursday. Give me your scoreline.
Thanks for that. I'm going to go magical night at Ibrox 2-1 Rangers. It's funny me saying that after I've just slated the full team and management and board. That's out of more hope than being sensible, by the way.
I think you've let the heart rule the head there to some extent. JB, you've had enough time to think about it. I'm turning to you now.
2-2. I think we'll see the best. I think we'll see the best and worst of Rangers on Thursday. Probably we'll see the aggressive front foot style of play, but we can't walk past the defence that we've got. So I think we'll see both sides. So yeah, that's what I'm going for. I tell you one thing I would do. This might be probably another pod. I'd play Tav as the third centre half on the right, and I'd play Sterling at right wing back. I don't think we need Tav's marauding right back. His legs have gone. He cannot run. There was a few incidents yesterday where Martin Boyle just looked across the line. He was playing on the opposite side, going, I'm going to just go and get in behind him. And there was one first half after about 20 minutes, and I said to the lads sitting round about me, Tav started to run and he was giving it the big uns, arms going, and Sterling just jotted across and nipped in and put the ball out for a throw in. I think I would man Mark Williams with Sterling on that wide right. Just throw it in.
Okay. So I'll stick with you here. So Kyran gets a chance to think of his answer because you got the first one, which is in terms of this team domestically. Is it just a case of Rangers fans? We just need to take it game by game and expect that there's going to be more of this nonsense that we've seen so far, and just drag us over the line and let us start. Is that where you are, game to game, player to player, moment to moment?
Yeah, and I think it needs a drastic mindset shift on the start next season, and that starts with it needs a new captain. You asked earlier what was the consistent thing with this team. Why have we had rebuild after rebuild after rebuild? It's because the person that's trusted on the pitch to G everybody up and set the tempo and be aggressive and be in people's faces can't do it anymore. And that's where I think we need to. That's definitely where we need to start. And that's not taking away his ability. He's got plenty of ability. Somebody that wouldn't be captain if the managers weren't scared of losing the dressing room. He'd have had it stripped after 55. But managers aren't going to come in and change a club captain. Just not going to happen. It needs to happen in the
interesting
summer.
One there. Yeah,
That's
interesting one
there.
there.
I'm conscious it's a full pod, but yeah, he's been so good. But he's but there was an incident. Sorry, just to bounce off. Yesterday there was an incident where we were getting beat 2-0, and he wanted to go and take the corner in the far left hand side of the pitch. He jotted across. It then took him 3 minutes to get back into the right back position. What is that? Do you know what I mean? Just go, and I want to see him screaming, get it taken, do it quick. But he's the captain, it's my ball, and he sets the intensity and everything on the pitch, and we need a new direction now moving forward. We can't be any worse.
Okay. Kyran, where are you with that, and maybe particularly the Tav point?
Oh, yeah, I think it's time for change. I think Tav has had his time with us as captain. I'd probably go along the lines of Tav as a whole has been a very good player playing in the wrong teams, but not captain. I think that's for the serial loser contingent of our support. I think he is a very good player. I think he's been a great servant to the club, pound for pound, outstanding. But we're moving into a new era now, and I think that's somewhere that we need to look to change. In terms of standards and where the club is at the moment and needs brought back up again, I remember that we were at this stage while Graham Murray held the dugout down at Rangers while we looked for another manager, and Steven Gerrard came in and completely transformed things and pulled us back up, and that's why I'm throwing my weight back behind Gerrard as our next manager. I think we need somebody that's going to drag the standards back up, that knows what it's about at Rangers, that's been here and done it. I felt he's got unfinished business in terms of what he won here the last time. For me, I would be going with a British manager as well. I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, the last foreign manager that won anything at Rangers goes back to Dick Advocaat in the 2000s.
Come up, won the League Cup last year.
Anything serious that's going to get a bye with the fans, come on.
I think he's done you there, to be honest.
Elgin Body Banger's done.
Bring him back. Up the bodies.
I'm on now.
Well, what I'll do then is I'll step us in there. And I think the manager chat is absolutely something that we'll get in at another point in time as well. I hear you, and I think the rumours will continue to swirl. It's a big job. People will still want it, especially as new money comes in and there's an expectation as it turns us full circle. But with that, I'll say to the listeners and watchers, particularly if you are downloading our audios, please make sure you subscribe and you give us a rating. It particularly helps the work that we're doing and allows us to continue to do it. So please make sure you do that. But for now, that's all. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again very, very soon.